time to introduce our distinguished alumnus, David G. Rodgers, and it's my pleasure to bring up my friend, the Associate Dean in Student Services, Mr. J.C. Colton.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm J.C. Colton, and Brett told me I had 5 minutes and no more. So if I go long, somebody do this, if you will. But it is indeed a pleasure to be here today. Now, April 14th is not necessarily a good day normally. April 14th, the day the Titanic sank. You remember that? One day before tax day. Now, it is 10 days ahead of San Jacinto Day, April 21st, high holy day for all Aggies, and you're going to meet one of our best Aggies here in a little while. But it is an exceptional day because we are honoring 3 of the best and brightest of Weatherford College. And it is my honor to tell you about one of those. Now, he was a part of a very special group of students here at Weatherford College that did their basics here, and then as a group transferred down to Texas A&M University. One of them came off of Betty Jo Graber's basketball team here, walked on to the first squad of Shelby Metcalf down at A&M, and they won a championship. We had exceptional players. We had another one who, once he hit campus, part of his internship was with the Texas Real Estate Research Center. And they helped put the Pivotal Act into effect. And for my bankers and real estate people, they recognize that because that established appraisal districts in every one of the 254 counties of Texas, and you might say a standard matter of assessing taxes. Back in the old days, the school district had a tax office, and the county government had a tax office, and Weatherford College had a tax office, and there was no rhyme or reason between them. But they helped establish some standardization. We had a couple of veterinarians in the mix. We had 2 good Weatherford College transfers that was a part of his group that helped do the first research on freezing embryos. And they turned that into frozen embryos for cattle and for equine. So we had some exceptional students here. Now, first and foremost of those was a gentleman by the name of David Glenn Rodgers. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of his story here today. David was always a special guy. Straight A student out here at Weatherford High School when Wayne was over there. All the way through, never made any grade lower than A. Came to Weatherford College, straight A student here. He was the highest honor graduate during ceremonies when he left here. When we went to A&M, he was continuing that record. He was invited into all the honor fraternities, won all the academic awards. But then when I think it was our end of our junior year, beginning of our senior year, he took a course called Genetics 301. And it was the backbreaker. It was the course that vets took, medical school took, and it was tough. I mean, people cried a lot of tears taking that course. And David was sailing through that course, but he fell short by a couple of points. He earned a B. But I have a reason for that. Shelley, would you stand up? Shelley Rodgers is his lovely wife. Shelley, round of applause for Shelley. They have a wonderful family today. Callie and Jenny could not be here today. One's a lawyer and one's a fund manager for Prudential, so they have busy professional lives. But David met Shelley that year he was in genetics, and they fell in love. And we always give him a hard time, said, you know, that was the only thing that could make you lose points in a class, was when you met Shelley. But guess what? He only lost a couple of points. He had like an 88 or 89. But he graduated summa cum laude that year and earned an internship in the Masters of Development program at A&M. He was invited into Gamma Sigma Delta. He was president of the A&M Parker County Hometown Club, a host of honors. But here at Weatherford College, he also had a great record. He was outstanding student in agriculture. He was one of the founders of the Webb Historical Society, the first group chartered at a community college of that body, named after the famous Walter Prescott Webb. But David has a long and great resume. I'd like to read to you from one of the people that nominated him, just a small section of his letter. This is from Mark Reeby, Chairman, Texas Bank. In 2002, David entered the world of community banking in his hometown of Weatherford with the bank, now known as Texas Bank. He contributed significantly to the growth of the bank and utilized his time to give back to Parker County as he and his wife Shelley participated as sponsors of the Weatherford High Rodeo team, volunteered to teach junior achievement, and served as a member of the Parker County Sheriff's Posse. Having always wanted to live in the Big Bend country, David and Shelley moved to Alpine, Texas in 2007, where they currently reside. David has served as Regional Vice President of Western Texas National Bank. During his time at Alpine, David has been President of the Sul Ross State University Foundation Board, Advisory Council member for the Center of Big Bend Studies. He's been on Sul Ross's President's Advisory Board, one of the member of the boards of the Texas Cowboy Poetry Gathering, and of course a leader in the Alpine Chamber of Commerce. From another individual's nomination, his professional career started at MetLife in 1979 as an agricultural investments consultant. Moving up in the arena of the finance industry and banking through the years, he is currently Regional President and Senior Vice President of all commercial real estate lending for West Texas National Bank in Alpine. In these roles, he's responsible for over $440 million in commercial loans and supervises 11 branches of Western National Bank. David has had an exceptional record. He has moved among the great. When we were at A&M, we used to go up and listen to the music of Robert Earl Keen on Robert Earl Keen's front porch at Northgate. And there was a guy called Lyle Lovett that we used to go listen to in the coffee shop, and David said he'll never be a big star. And yes, Lyle had that hair even back then. But probably out of all the many awards and achievements that he has won, the greatest achievement is when he found and courted and married his lovely wife, Shelley. Shelley is an accomplished Western artist now in her retirement. Go on the internets and look up Shelley Rodgers, Western Art, and you'll see what some wonderful things are that she's done. But they are truly a partnership. They're a partnership in professional life, in their personal life, and in their community service. But ladies and gentlemen, we as Weatherford College Coyotes should be especially proud of what he did of writing in books of fame. They'll write his name, OWC. He has added his name to that book of fame. So won't you please join me in welcoming David Glenn Rodgers, one of our distinguished alumni.
Well, thank you, JC. As everybody knows, JC has the gift of gab. He can make any story or any person sound good. But when he called me a couple, 3 months ago and he said, hey, I've got something I want you to put you up for, I was nervous. I thought back to 75, and JC calls me, hey, Dave, I've got something to put you up for. And I said, what's that? Well, it's a great honor. I think it was some sort of centennial celebration. And I had horses and rode horses a lot. Had a friend, Roger Dobson, who went to Weatherford High School and went to Weatherford College with me. He and I actually rode our horses into college numerous times. Couldn't do it today, couldn't get over the interstate. We tied them up in that open field where the baseball stadiums are now. But JC said, we need somebody to carry the proclamation down Palapino Street for this big ceremony. And the mayor or somebody was there. I don't remember who we were going to give this proclamation to. Great honor. I said, okay, we'll do it. So we had our horses stationed on Palapino Street. JC promised there would be a policeman to stop the traffic. There was no policeman. And so Roger and I were standing there, and JC, he was a little more spry then than now, but he was jumping up and down saying, come on, come on. And we're like, no, we're not gonna get in the middle of the traffic with our horses. And then, so JC finally gets in a cart or something and drives up there and stops the traffic. So we get in the middle of the road, start working down Palapino Street. All of a sudden, here's these cars just passing us, going 40 miles an hour. We look, JC has abandoned us. So when he called me, I thought back to that, and I'm like, this can't be good. But, you know, this is good. And I just want to say I really enjoyed my time here at Weatherford College. Felt like I got a great education, and I met a lot of students here that have become lifelong friends, quite honestly. I grew up, lived south of Weatherford, about 8 miles, and I was pretty much a country boy. And the only kids I knew were kids that I went to school with here at Weatherford, in high school and grade school. And I get to Weatherford College and I meet all these people from faraway places, like Aledo, Azle, Springtown, Fort Worth. And I thought, wow, I'm pretty cosmopolitan. But it was an interesting time to be here. We had many dozen Iranian students, if anybody was here at that time and remember. And at the time, some of the Iranian students would say, hey, some of those other guys are secret police and they're spying on us. And you know, we didn't know if that was real or not real. And of course, then 5 years later, the Iranian Revolution, and it made more sense as to what they were talking about. But one of the things I remember most about Weatherford College is we had great instructors here at that time. I'm sure there are now too. But I think back to people like Brad Tibbetts and Fred Bruton. JC talked about Webb Historical Society. They were our sponsors, and they took us to conferences in Austin and Galveston, and they were just great guys. Jerry Sadler was the ag teacher. Very, very nice gentleman. Mr. Bryan, biology teacher, was quite a character. I think we had him about 10 years past his prime, but he was something else. Max Rathel was chemistry teacher. He was outstanding. And he and Miss Capel were rodeo team sponsors at that time. And Merle and Peggy Bull, he taught biology, she taught writing, and Mr. Perkle, government. Those are some of the folks that I remember the most, and they did a great job. And I feel like I was certainly ready to go to A&M. The coursework I took here certainly prepared me. The courses here were as hard as any of them I ever had at A&M in graduate or undergraduate. And so I was very well prepared, I thought. And in addition to the great instructors, I met a lot of other students, and some of them have been friends now for 50 years or close to it. J.C. Colton's one of them. Mark Tackett, if folks know Mark, he's here today. And quick story about Mark and I. We had some get-rich-quick schemes when we were here. And we decided, we were pretty sure where there was some buried treasure near our property where we lived. And so I had a metal detector, and we got a hit on something, and we dug down about 8 feet. It started covering with water. We never found the treasure. So then we decided, let's go, we heard that rattlesnake venom was pretty expensive. Let's catch some rattlesnakes and milk them. Well, luckily, we never found any rattlesnakes. So then we hit on a can't fail deal. I raised okra and sold okra for a couple of years, and I've done pretty well at that. But we thought, you know, if we had tomatoes to go with the okra, we could corner the gumbo market in Parker County. So Mark and I worked a little piece of land on his mom's place, planted a couple of hundred tomato plants, watered them, fertilized them. Everything was going great until we came back the next morning and the cutworms had cut all of them down at ground level. So after that, we just decided we probably just need to go to school, get an education. And so Mark graduated from here, went to pharmacy school, has been selling drugs since then. Yes, he's legally. He's the head of the Tackett pharmaceutical empire here in Parker County. And of course, I went to A&M and decided to sell money. And so that worked out pretty good too. But, you know, another sign of my belief in the quality of education here, Shelley and I sent our first daughter, our oldest daughter here. She rodeoed and got her associate's degree. Then she got her undergraduate degree at A&M, got a law degree from SMU, and now she's a successful real estate attorney in Dallas. And just like my situation and all of ours, we were able to be prepared here to let us take the next step. And just in summary, I want to thank everybody for the award. I don't know that I deserve it, especially after seeing some of the other folks here, but I'm glad I got it. Thanks.